All right, let's talk about something that gets really confusing. We're going to dive into that fine and honestly super blurry line between deep, passionate love and something else. Something that can feel exactly like love, but is actually, well, it's toxic shadow, emotional dependency.
I mean, you know this feeling, right? That knot of anxiety in your chest, the constant obsessive phone checking, that sinking pit in your stomach when a message goes unanswered for just a little too long. It's like your entire world, your whole sense of self-worth, just hinges on these tiny little interactions. And that intensity, wow, it feels all-consuming. It's so easy to mistake that for real profound love.
But what if it's not? What if that breathlessness, that desperate, clinging need, isn't a sign of some epic, powerful connection? What if it's actually a huge red flag, a warning sign that something is seriously out of balance? Okay, so let's get right into it. First up, love or dependency. We're going to break down the real difference between these two super powerful and, yeah, often confusing feelings. When you boil it down, the distinction is actually pretty simple. Think of emotional dependency like this. It's two incomplete people clinging to each other, desperately trying to feel whole. The partner's job, basically, is to fill this big, empty void inside. But healthy love, what we call interdependence, that's a whole different game. That's two whole people, already complete on their own, who choose to build a life together. Why? Not because they need to survive, but because their lives are genuinely enhanced by being with each other. So what does this actually look like in real life? Let's get honest here for a second. Ask yourself these questions. Is your happiness totally determined by your partner's mood? Like, if they're having a bad day, is your day automatically ruined? Have you kind of lost touch with your own friends, your own interests, because this relationship has become your entire universe? Does the thought of being alone fill you with actual panic or emptiness? And here's the kicker. Do you tolerate disrespect or things you know aren't okay just because the thought of being without them is even scarier? Okay, so a pattern like this doesn't just appear out of thin air, right? So where does it come from? That's what we're digging into next as we look at the roots of this need. So often, the origin story for this kind of dependency starts way back. It begins with something psychologists call childhood wounds. Now, that sounds heavy, but it's really just about patterns we learned when we were young. Maybe for you, you learned that to get love, you had to be the caretaker. Or maybe you got the message that your worth was all about making other people happy, even if it meant sacrificing your own needs. And you can totally see how this creates a chain reaction, right? Step one, you learn your worth comes from the outside. Step two, because you're so busy adapting to everyone else's needs, you never really get a chance to build a strong sense of your own self. That leads to step three, a deep, deep fear of abandonment. I mean, if you're left alone, who are you even? And that fear, well, that's what sends you out looking for a partner to be your fix, not to share a life with, but to complete you and make sure you're never, ever abandoned. Man, this is such a powerful way to think about it. That whole I can't breathe without you thing, I mean, it sounds so romantic in a movie, doesn't it? But in real life, that breathlessness isn't romance, it's suffocation. Real healthy love, it doesn't require you to disappear. It doesn't ask you to shrink yourself down. It actually invites you to show up more fully, to be even more of who you are. Okay, so that's the problem. But what's the solution? Well, this is the good part. This is where the work begins. And believe me, it is so empowering. Let's get into it. Building a differentiated self. I know, differentiated self sounds a little clinical, right? But the idea behind it is actually really simple. It just means having a strong sense of who you are, completely independent of your relationship. It's about being your own anchor. It means you know your own values, you have your own interests, and, this is a big one, you can regulate your own emotions. You don't need to outsource that job to your partner. So how do you do it? Well, here's the game plan. First, reconnect. Call up those old friends. Pick up that hobby you dropped. Rebuild the parts of your life that are just for you. Next, you've got to practice being alone. Not in a sad, lonely way, but in a way that proves to yourself, hey, I can do this. I'm okay on my own. Then you learn to self-soothe. Instead of running to your partner every time you feel anxious, you learn to calm yourself down. And all of this, it leads to the final, most important step. Really, truly understanding that you are already complete, just as you are. It really comes down to this. A partner should add to your life, not complete it. They're like a fantastic addition to a house that's already built on a solid foundation, not the foundation itself. And all of this work leads us to the real goal here. And listen, the goal isn't some cold, lonely independence. It's something way warmer, way more connected. It's all about interdependence.
Okay, so think of it like a spectrum. On one end, you have dependency, which says, I literally can't survive without you. On the other extreme, you have independence, which can sometimes sound like, I don't need you at all. The healthy, beautiful, sweet spot is right in the middle, interdependence. And that's where you can say with all the confidence in the world, I am totally whole on my own, and because of that, I choose you.
And what does that look like in a real relationship? Well, it's two whole, complete people supporting each other. It means you want your partner, but you don't need them to survive. It means you actively encourage each other's individual growth. You can celebrate their successes that have nothing to do with you, and it doesn't make you feel insecure. You respect each other's boundaries. You respect that you are two separate people building one life.
All right, so to wrap this all up, we're going to turn the focus completely inward. This last part is just a chance for you to ask yourself a few really honest questions. No judgment, just reflection.
So take a deep breath and really ask yourself this. Am I in love with this person, or am I just desperately, desperately trying to avoid the discomfort of being alone with myself? And the next one, have I lost myself in this relationship? I mean, really think about it. Who were you before they came along? Have you somehow just disappeared into them?
And last one, be honest with your gut reaction here. If this relationship ended tomorrow, would you be okay? Or would you feel like you were literally dying, like your whole world was just over?
Because here's the hard truth. If the thought of being without your partner feels like an actual death sentence, that's not love. That's dependency. And please, remember this. The goal here isn't to give up on love. Not at all. It's about becoming strong enough to experience a realer, healthier, more authentic version of it. It's about giving yourself the incredible freedom and peace that comes from knowing deep down in your bones that you are whole all on your own.